If you've been to Bali, you would have tried their famous babi guling dish. Essentially, it's suckling pig served with a sambal, and it's so good because you get crispy crackling, soft pork, and the sambal is so aromatic. Now, I'm going to be doing my version, which is with pork belly as opposed to a whole suckling pig, because that wouldn't fit in my oven. And you can see that I've scored it, and the skin is super dry. So for the lovely spice paste that I'm going to add to the centre of this, I'm going to add 4 cloves of garlic. I'll add a few pinches of salt for this. We need to season the pork, so be generous with the salt. And we're going to start pounding this and bruising it, and it'll start to become sticky. See how that salt really brings out the moisture in the garlic? That's what we're after. Okay, some ginger, and in my recipe you'll see that I say you could use ginger or galangal, which is still from the same family, but it's much more aromatic. So if you can get your hands on some galangal, use that. And I'm just going to roughly chop it just to give me a little helping hand with a mortar and pestle. I'm strong, but I'm not that strong. So in that goes. And a lime leaf, also called a makrut leaf. You can see the difference because it's got those jagged edges. This is just what really makes this such a special rub. So I'm just taking that stem from the centre. We don't want that because it's really hard to crush. And again, just going to wrap it up and chop it up. Good. In it goes. Finally, some lemongrass. So I'll just trim it. And this, don't throw away. Still so much flavour in it, so you can add it to a soup or even stock. And we're just going to just finely chop this. Oh, it smells so good. Now we'll give this another pound until everything's slightly crushed. Oh, this is when I wish there was smell-o-vision, because this just smells fantastic. Now I'm going to reserve a few spoonfuls of this lovely mixture for a sambal later on to serve with the pork, and pop that to the side, and then we'll continue on with the flavours. So chilies, red chilies for this. I'm using long red chilies because I don't want it to be too fiery. These are milder in flavour, but if you want it really hot, of course, use the small chilies. In they go. While we're at it, I'll add a few spices. So some coriander seeds and some turmeric. Okay, another pound. Okay, we're nearly there. Now we're going to bring the whole thing together with some peanut oil or some vegetable oil and just drizzle it in and mix it together. We'll just reserve a little of this oil because I'll need that for the skin. Okay, paste is done and I am very happy with it. So over to the pork belly. This is about 1.5 kilos of pork. I'm going to turn it over, and this is where we want to flavour. So we're going to add all of this delicious goodness. So we'll just dollop it over. Spread it out. And we don't want any of this to touch the skin. We want that to just stay golden in colour as it cooks in the oven at that high heat. Yum-o. Okay, now to tie this. So we want to make a cylinder, so you just have to roll it over and we need to tie it. So I've just got some twine here. I like to do this just in stages. So we'll just cut this into sections, tuck it underneath, and then tie it up nice and tight. You'll also notice that this is being scored. It's best to score this so we get optimum crackling. So I'm going to continue doing this so we've got that perfect cylinder, a little more oil and salt on the top, and then it goes into the oven for the first stage of cooking, 220 degrees for about 40 minutes or until this starts to blister. Pork is smelling fantastic, but onto our sambal now. Now this, I find, makes the dish extra special. I've got 4 long green chilies and I'm going to roughly chop them along with some spring onions and some lime. So 3 spring onions, and I'm just going to chop the light and white part of the spring onions. That's plenty. Now I've got to do a bit more pounding here, so it's exercise, right? Which means you can eat more pork at the end. It's going to be a well-deserved gift, if you like. We need to add some more salt to this, so a pinch of salt. And then we'll start crushing this before we add the other ingredients. Now, when I was in Bali, I always found it so fascinating how important sambals are. So a lovely little way to really heighten a dish. Like the French have mustard on the side of their dishes. In Indonesia, they have sambals, and they are just so delicious. Now I'm going to add the rest of that ginger mix and lemongrass, and some lime juice and the zest of the lime too. So much flavour in the zest, so don't waste that. Okay, and some juice. We'll start with 1/2 to 1 and we'll just taste it at the end. And sambal is also about balance. So we've got the acidity, we need the sweetness. So palm sugar, and I'll just use my knife to grate some of this off. Grate, in it goes. And some fish sauce. So a splash of fish sauce, and then we'll pound this. Now, once this has come together, the sambal will be ready. We'll pop it to the side. I'll also check my pork. Once we've got that gorgeous crackling, it'll come out. I'll turn the temperature down to 160 degrees and then cook it for a further 50 minutes. It's also a really good tip to place some water in the tray so the pork stays nice and moist as it cooks. I am so happy with the results. See how crispy this crackling is, and I promise you it's going to be succulent in the centre. Now do allow your pork to rest for about 30 minutes before you start to carve it, just so it can relax. And now I can handle it. I'm just going to place it onto a board. Before you serve it to your guests, I know it's quite obvious, but take all of the string off just with a little sharp knife. Now to serve this, well, I'm going to keep it super traditional with a little hot steamed rice. We'll pop that into a shallow bowl. And I'm just going to carve this. This is one of those dishes you do on a special occasion, or if you've got some friends coming over, they will love you for this. It is just such a showstopper. And have a look inside. See all that gorgeous paste, and it's juicy. I am salivating already. All right, I will place this onto the rice. A little lime, just a cheek on the side. And for our sambal. Now, traditionally sambal will probably have a little more texture, but I like it saucy like this because it's fantastic with the rice and the pork. We'll drizzle that over the top. Smells good. And finally, this is just a little extra crunch. Some crispy fried shallots over the top. This recipe is in my new book, The Slow Cook, and would have to be in my top 5. It's that good. And if you can't get to Bali to try it, we'll bring babi guling to your kitchen. It's a showstopper. A little chef's treat here for me.